Well, welcome to a bait maker's diary. We're coming up to the favourite time of year now in the winter months where I get to do some fishing, and this month we're going to bring you hopefully some underwater footage from the lake and the lakes close to us, weather permitting, and also putting the finishing touches on the CreAmino boilie. And it's got off to a great start on my first night with this upper 30. Oh, thank you very much, Mr. Carp. Right, let's get you back. Well, I actually had no plans to release another boilie. If you look at the history of Baitworks, we've got 3 baits in the range, and that's over nearly 15 years now. And if I can't better something, I see it pointless in bringing out a new bait just for the sake of bringing out a new bait. I think in today's market there's so many carp baits, lots and lots of different options, varieties, and it must be so confusing for the end user to make any sort of decision on bait. So I've tried to simplify things at Baitworks, and we've got 3 very attractive, nutritious baits that are going to catch absolutely fish, and they have done, and that's been proven over a 15-year period. But every now and again I'm always thinking about other ingredients and different lines, and I get loads and loads of ingredients sent through the post and samples from all over the world, and some of those samples get good reactions like you'd expect. Some of them on paper look amazing and don't perform well in the first initial tank tests, but every now and again you get something special through the post and you think, wow, the reactions I've just seen backed up with these scientific sort of papers leads me down a path that I've never been down before, but it's hugely interesting, and there's a whole array of attractive ingredients there ready to be explored. And that led me to firstly come out with a liquid, and then that very quickly then my thought process turned into making a boilie range. So fast forward 3 years now to when I initially had these samples through, and it's evolved over those 3 years. First of all, it's just a liquid I was putting together, and I was giving that to a few guys who were catching plenty of fish, and again the reactions I was getting from the tank fish were exceptional. And then it quickly moved into a boilie form. Now, trying to fuse all these ingredients together to make a boilie is a long process, but over time then I've started to add in other core ingredients as well that not only helps the penetration of water, but obviously it's very soluble as well. So that's a really key point for the bait, is to make it soluble, goes through the fish very quickly, ultra digestible, but absolutely hugely attractive. And that was the birth of the CreAmino. Well, in many ways I'm my own worst enemy, because I obsess over the bait in terms of getting it to perform exactly how I want it, and this means I've got many test batches. I've gone through a whole long and painful process to get it where it needs to be, and that's in terms of how it breaks down, solubility. So on and off over the last 3 years I've been using various different batches and catching plenty of carp, and then been giving some of these batches to some of the guys in and around Baitworks. The likes of Elliot Gray's been using it over the winter, and he's catching plenty of fish next door. Mike Holly, who's caught a load of big uns this year, and giving out to sort of Jake Taylor and Simon Scott and a few other guys around the Baitworks team, just to get some feedback on how the bait is performing, taste, texture, smell, solubility, all the usual sort of things. So what makes this bait so special? Well, I'll run you through that right now. So when you open the bag, you're immediately hit with a sweet, creamy aroma that is not coming from a flavour profile per se, it's coming from ingredients, and these ingredients are feeding triggers. and have been shown and proven to evoke a really aggressive response. Now, looking at the bait as well, you'll notice it's a open texture. That's absolutely paramount. Everything we do at Baitworks, we believe in the water penetration has to come in, and there are some ingredients we can utilise to do that. A typical one, for example, would be seaweed meal, very, very hydrotropic, sucks in the water. If water comes in, we need that exchange to diffuse all the liquids and flavours and the soluble aspects of the bait to diffuse out. Hugely important. And also, those who taste the bait as well will get a lovely spicy hit, a real spicy note, and that's massively important to move the bait through the transit line of the carp. We don't want something that's going to sit and be uncomfortable, particularly in any time of the year, but particularly in the winter months. So this is a bait that will go through the carp very quickly and cause no issue in blocking any of the transit line. It's in and it's out, exactly what you want. One key feature about this bait is we don't actually use any eggs at all within this product. So I'm using other ingredients to bind and fuse the products together. With eggs, you tend to bring in a fat content with the yolk. I didn't want that. So this bait is a step away from the traditional egg products. Also, we're using the protein source being derived from dairy products. So unlike some of the other baits where we're using marine, this one's a nice dairy, and that's why it comes out a naturally sort of light beige colour. Now, I've got a few more test batches to go. I've already given it to a few guys and they're catching already through the winter period, which is a great start, but I've got a few more tweaks and I hope to bring this bait out in the spring. And this puts 3 years of bloody hard work to bed, and I can't wait to see the catch reports come flooding in. Well, my plan to fish through the winter months, like I usually do, was soon scuppered. Our manager for Baitworks has left to set up his own business in the motor trade, and that meant that I had to come in, and I'm still doing it now, so I'm had to sit in the manager's seat, which has been, crikey, really busy, particularly during our January and February sale period. So I'm at the helm, answering calls, getting orders out the door, and the faults of fishing, I just have to take a back seat, finishing work in the dark, 5, 6 at night, absolutely knackered, exhausted. Still got to make time for my family, so you find me here a good 5, 6 weeks later, unbelievably doing probably my 3rd night or something like that. So I've come down, I'm really out of touch with the lake, haven't been here for a while. Really interesting as well, the fish here have tended to sort of shut down. Last year when I was fishing, I was putting in bait quite regularly, every 2 or 3 days, and I was only fishing once or twice a week, usually one night a week, and I was catching them and I was keeping them moving. The fish were eating bait, moving, eating bait, and that was going all the way through the winter. I've managed to have quite a few fish like that, but I haven't been doing that, and there's been no one down here really putting in bait regularly. There's been a few people fishing it, but only odd sessions here and there, not enough to keep the fish regularly moving, and as a consequence the fish have gone to ground a little bit and there haven't been a fish out for about 3 or 4 weeks. So I'm up against it tonight, but this sun, this little bit of sun that we've got now, has just heated up some of the reeds, and there's one little spot on the lake that hasn't been fished for ages. The rest of the lake, people have fished in the main body, nothing's being caught. So I'm going to chance it, I'm going to fish in a little corner, it's all or nothing. Fingers crossed there's a fish or 2 in there, but I'm going to get the rods out because it's going to get dark in about sort of half an hour, and I'd love to enjoy a cup of tea before the sun goes down. And yeah, we'll see you in the morning. Well, this is going to be the third rod going out. I've literally put two right in close to the reeds, just down. Literally, one's only 2 or 3 rod lengths out, and the other one is put right up along the side of the reeds where just the draw of that sunshine today, it's got to be a few fish tucked around. And now the lake's actually flooded, there's a lot of water that's come in from the lake adjacent. It's meaning the levels is up another couple of foot. So what that means for the reeds is, whereas you usually have 2.5 foot of water, you've now got probably 4.5, nearly 5 foot of water. So plenty of depth there to hide a few fish. And with the lack of activity in the main lake, they've got to be somewhere, and who knows, they all could be tucked round the back there. Big old lorry there just ruining the silence, but I'm going to get this rod out, I'm going to flick it in open water just to give myself a bit, just spread my bets a little bit, just in case. This is all or nothing in the reeds, and if they're not here, it's going to be a blank. But by putting one rod out there, there's every chance you could sneak one. So I'm going to fiddle about this, just get this pop up nice and set. Get them out there, enjoy a tea before that light goes, because it's dipping away fast now. We ain't got long. Well, that was a cold one last night. Must have gone down to, I don't know, minus something. But alas, no fish, no signs, nothing. There's 3 of us fishing around the lake. We're all dotted in different areas. No one saw anything or had so much as a bleat, which is hugely frustrating. But, you know, went on the hunch that the fish were potentially in and amongst these reeds with that sun yesterday. But it's just not. I don't think they're here. So I'm going to probably go home with a tail between my legs on this session. But anyway, fun to be out, nice to be on the bank for such a long time. With the rigs I'm using, to be fair, I'm using such a big lead size now, and it's something I always do. I've always done it coming into the winter. You'll find that the fish metabolism is slowing down, unlike in the summer when they're almost gliding in and taking bait on the run. And they're much more switched on. They're taking up baits in a quicker pace. But I find that in the winter months, when the carp's metabolism naturally slows down, they're not being methodical what they do. They're just naturally going to be slower with the colder water temperatures. They're much slower in picking up baits. And I just find then that's when a heavier lead size comes into its own to really help force that hook home. As I said, I've been doing it for a number of years now, and interestingly, I've done a little experiment just to prove to myself the theory, and yeah, it makes for interesting viewing. Well, this is an experiment I've been wanting to do for a while now, and as we're in the winter months, I think it's crucially important to pay attention to your rigs, and particularly the lead size. Now, I'm a great believer that the carp's metabolism is everything's slowing down, so when they're approaching the bait, approaching the rigs, they're coming in at a much slower pace because all their senses are dulled, and because of that I feel that their perception of touch and feel is suppressed somewhat as well. So when they're picking up baited hooks off the bottom, they're quite clumsy, slow and lethargic, and I want to make sure that hook's driven home to past the point of the barb as quickly as possible. And having light leads on, I've hooked fish in the winter in the past on light leads, and it's almost like they don't know they're even hooked. So this is an experiment I've come up with, very simple in essence. I've got 4 leads here, going from a 5, 4, 3 and a 2. And all I've done is just made up 4 identical rigs with, in this case it's a size 6 wide gape, a very common pattern of hook. And these are suspended with a little pop-ups on the top, so it's just so, don't pay no attention to the rigs, not important, but what it does, it just gives me a little visual marker and pick them up on the camera better. And what I'm going to try and do is lift each of these rigs off the bottom with my finger and just see where I can lift them up comfortably and not put a hook straight from a finger, hopefully. So that's it, very simple. I'm going to repeat the process with a sharpened hook as well. And I'm thinking that I'm going to get so far, even on the small size hook, once I get up to size 5, I think that's going to be pretty difficult. But anyway, I don't know what's going to happen. Let's get them in the water and let's have a look. Well, rigs are in position, and I'm going to use my index finger. It's fairly soft, so replicate sort of a carp's mouth. Let's see how we get on. Right, first up is the 2 ounce. And this one, crikey, I can swing around. I reckon with a good flick of my finger now that'll just fly off and it won't hook. The hook point's only just penetrating the skin, literally hardly anything at all. I can shake that hook there, and it comes out straight away. Now onto the 3 ounce. Again, I can pick this lead up. I'm swinging it. A little more difficult. Hook points penetrating, but not no pain, nothing whatsoever. That's fairly soft skin there on my index finger. So I'll pop that one down. A little shake of my hand. That one's out. Now onto a 4 ounce. Ooh, I can't lift that. Ooh, that's right. That's got it. That's got it. Ow. Let's try it again. Right, 4 ounce in line. Oh no, that's in. That is in. I can't lift that. Right, 5 ounce lead. Well, I know what's going to happen here. Yeah, I can't even get half of that off the lake bed. That is straight in. If I go any further, that's taking it straight past the barb. Crikey, that was interesting. Those 2 and 3 ounce leads. You know, what you remember is the lead weighs lighter underwater. So a 2 ounce lead underwater is probably an ounce and something. Say a 3 is probably a 2, and so forth. But once you get up to that 4s and 5s, that ain't happening. Right, I'm going to spin around now. I'm going to take all those hooks off and put the sharpened hooks on and see how we get on with them. Right, here we go with the sharpened hooks. This is going to hurt. Right, first one, 2 ounces. So interestingly, 2 ounces, no problem at all. Swing that about quite happily. Can feel the hooks starting to penetrate, but nothing. A good shake, that's out. Takes a little bit more to get it out, right, on the finger. Now, a 3 ounce lead, sharpened. Oh, just about can lift that, but that hook's in. That is, if I move, that is going straight past the barb. So I'm going to put that down very gently. I'm going to have to use my other hand here. Oh, that's close. Right, onto the 4 ounce lead, and I already know what's going to happen here, so I'm going to attempt to pull it up, but I'm literally going to get half the lead off the deck. Yeah, that's it. Any more, that's going in well past the barb. Wow. And the 5 ounce lead, well, I'm not even going to attempt that one. Oh, that is sharp. Well, very interesting. Those 2 ounces and even a 3 ounce lead, for me, are not driving that hook point home. As soon as you get to that 4, that is the one. But particularly on the sharpened hooks, you can, I'd say a 3.5 lead for me would drive that hook home nicely past the point. But the 2 ounces in all cases, and that's surprising actually, even when I swung it around, no penetration at all. So yeah, so more questions than answers, but hey, that's not a bad thing. And particularly in the winter months when all these fish are slowing down, they're approaching the bait incredibly slowly, like I've mentioned earlier, and trying to get that hook to penetrate home is really, really important. And having a nice heavy lead, in my opinion, helps set that hook. So something to think about when you're fishing, thinking about the baiting situation, and hopefully put a few more fish on the bank. Right, I'm going to go and save my finger, it's bleeding. Well, today is a special day for myself and the lake. Simon and his good lady Sue on their way, and they're bringing up one of the biggest fish that VS Fisheries have ever produced. And what's more, it's a big male as well. So I'm very, very excited. Can't wait to see it. Better get this gate open and get everything ready. Well, every now and again you just get these special fish, particularly down the fish farms. There's one in particular that had been coming through the ranks, and what's more, it was a male fish as well. And anyone who knows about the male fish, they can be the biggest fish in the pond very, very quickly. And if you look back over historical UK carp catchers, the biggest fish, generally the record holders, have all been big males. Think of Mary, think of two-tone out of Conningbrook, huge fish and record holders, and obviously the black mirror as well, another 50-pound male fish. So when one of these fish comes up, and I've watched over the years, particularly this one is just, it's got all the characteristics, it's got every chance of being a huge fish. Now, the waters that I run, I'm quite proud of the fact that I've introduced fish at very, very small weights. I bought some from a fish farm a few years ago, and in fact, from VS Fisheries, one of the fish in here has grown to upper 40, so huge fish again. But apart from those initial stockings, then a lot of the fish have been brought on from eggs, from the lake, from other ponds as well, grown to a size and put in the lake, and I'm extremely proud of that. So to put in a slightly bigger fish at this stage sort of bucks my trend, but when you see a fish of these proportions, crikey, it's special. I thought, you know what, it'd be great to take a chance, great to give it a fantastic home where it's not going to get a huge amount of pressure. There's people that fish here, but it doesn't get a huge amount of pressure. The lake gets shut at key times of the year for spawning, so they get a nice little break. Historically in the winter it doesn't do a fish anyway, so there's lots of periods where it's not going to get fished for, and it's going to hopefully go under the radar a little bit and not get caught, and that always bodes well for huge weight gain. So yeah, really excited to see how it's going to unfold. Great to see Simon, always good to see him and Sue. They're back off on their way back to the fish farm. It never stops for them, but the important thing is the male fish is in the lake now, and he's probably making himself acquainted with the rest of the carp stock as I speak. So yeah, great to see how it unfolds next year, and of course we'll keep you updated how it does.
That's going to be a monster, surely. It is a monster!
Look at the tail on it! The wrist is... the wrist! Oh my god, what a huge fish. Good luck.
Yes, Mark. I can't wait to see how that one goes on. That is the one. What a great one.
Well, any of you guys who've watched any of my blogs will know that I'm not only passionate about fishing bait and making fishing bait, but also carp as well. And I've always brought fish on from a very, very small size ever since I was a little boy. And to watch the fish go from eggs to 2-3 inch fish, bring them for over a year and eventually get them up to 3 and 4 pound and stock them into lakes is so rewarding. I absolutely love it. And because of that, I'm always looking for opportunities for small little ponds, stock ponds, lakes to put some fish to grow on. And this is where you find me now. I've been lucky enough to find these 2 little ponds here. I say ponds, they're good sizes for, you know, for bringing on fish. And what's more, I don't know what's in them. I'm in the process of buying them, so fingers crossed that's all going to go through, but I don't know what's in them. So coming here today, I thought it was a great opportunity to do some sample fishing to see if I can catch one, and it could be £1, it could be £20. I just don't know, and that's really exciting. To have that opportunity to fish for the unknown is, you don't get that very often in fishing, and these lakes do remind me of when I used to fish as a little boy, these little ponds down in Devon. I used to cut my teeth on some of them, so sneaking around and dropping some bait in the edge is, yeah, harps back to my fond childhood memories. So the plan for this is maybe, hopefully catch one. I don't know what's in them. And then if I'm successful in purchasing them, I'm going to look to drain them down with a netting, see exactly what's in them, and then assess the stock, maybe introduce some more fish and then start the growing process. So that's a bit of a plan, but do you know what, it's just nice to be out on a day like today. Even though the sun's out, it's still quite cold, it's still winter, with the lakes fishing so dire, this is a perfect opportunity to come out and just spend a couple of hours and see what happens. Oh, come on, fella. This one don't feel half bad. I'm going to keep him away from these brambles. There's a little mirror. There we go. Little mirror. I can just usher him in the net. Oh, there we go. Well, just when I thought there was very few fish in here, and there still may be, but this one has decided to pay me a visit. I was just sat down, just contemplating packing up, and it's absolutely ripped off. And this pretty little mirror, I haven't got a clue what strain it is, but it doesn't really matter. It's nice for, as I said, a little bit of mystery. This one's ripped off, and yeah, great to see that there's 1 or 2 carp in here. Right, well, I'm going to get this fella back. My hands are cold already. With the onslaught of the spring, which is just around the corner, only a few weeks away, I'm going to be mega busy at Baitworks. So I'm going to put this fish back, get back home, and yeah, dream of warmer things to come in the spring. But thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one. Bye bye, little fella. Maybe I'll see you in the summer.